Okay, and welcome to Mortgage Therapy once again with Chris Sorensen. I'm your host. We're coming to you live from Corona, California, our corporate campus. By the way, we are celebrating our 25th anniversary being in the same location with the same ownership, which is quite a feat. I'm super pumped to be able to have Brett and Scott Stacy, and I'm going to talk about Brett first, and I'll let you talk about Scott, my friend. So, ladies and gentlemen, Brett Stacy is somebody who you need to know. This guy is a Renaissance man. I didn't know this when he first joined the organization. I knew him because we were both trying to recruit each other over the years, but we have great admiration for each other's success and maybe lack thereof at times, but we've always supported each other. And he's just one of the good guys of the industry. But I also discovered that he actually is a singer. He actually has a published song or songs, plural. He's written multiple books. He's a prolific writer and really enjoys that. And he's been a phenomenal leader in this industry and has grown some phenomenal groups. His significant other is a reverse mortgage or HECM expert and leader of the industry. And so all the way around, when he created this program that I do want to talk about today, that's one of the key reasons why I wanted you guys on this podcast, right? Because, of the reasons we'll get into, they created a program that when we spoke, I'm like, holy smokes, that is so darn cool. And we need to be part of it. And by the grace of God, it just worked out where Brett said, you know what, the timing's right. The stars have aligned. I'm coming on board and I'm bringing my handsome and well-talented son to come join me. And so the rest, as they say, is history. So Brett Stacy, my friend, welcome to Mortgage Therapy with Chris Sorensen. I appreciate you being on today.
It's great to be here. Scott and we feel honored that you take the time to chat with us about our exciting program, now PRMG's exciting program, and just have a good time.
Yeah. And who's this young man that you call your son? Tell us about Scott.
Well, I come from a mortgage family. My dear wife, as you mentioned, 42 years, is a reverse mortgage professional. She's a recognized expert in the industry. My oldest child, my daughter, she's a reverse mortgage processor for another company. And of course, Scott, my partner in crime, the co founder of the Hometown Hero Credit Program and our nonprofit, Operation T.A.G. And then now my youngest son, Bradley, who's serving in the Army at Joint Base Lewis McChord. He just took his 20 hours and is going to be scheduling his NMLS test. But none of this I could have done without Scott. He's my right hand man. I'm the guy out there promoting it, talking about the program. I'm the passion guy. But all that's well and good if there's not somebody in the background keeping everything that I'm trying to put together. And that's what Scott does. He's an integral part of our mission to help military families become homeowners. And I couldn't be happier to come to work every day and have him by my side.
Glorified housekeeper. That's all.
Well, you're one heck of a glorified housekeeper, that's for sure. No, I will brag about you, Scott, because what I love most about you, I've been doing this business for a long time, 36 years in the business, and I've seen a lot of knuckleheads in my time. That's why I call it mortgage therapy, between some of the real estate agents and some of the loan officers and other ancillary services that I've had to encounter, not to mention borrowers, buyers, sellers, etc. There are times when I want to jump out of this third story window. But I bring that up only because you are always such a calming effect. I've never seen you, at least in my encounters with you, ever seem to get rattled. I'm sure maybe you do, but is it just your nature that you just have a calming effect about you, or what?
Brett has taught me something that over the last couple of months has really served me well, but in my career has served me well. And that is what's going to move us forward. And if you can, in your day-to-day and in your conversations and in whatever boondoggle you're working your way through, what's going to move you forward? This action, this comment, this conversation, is this going to move us forward? And when you can cut out all the background noise and just look ahead, it does that to you. And so that's something that I can't tell you how many times Brett has reminded me of this and pounded it into me. It's in my business DNA now. And so I guess it would be that.
Well, I love that. And especially because, one of the things that, we're going to talk about, and I'll just kind of just give a brief introduction to the folks here. You need to be paying attention because you're about to hear an offer that is literally a unicorn in this business. There are a few programs out there that I have heard about, and some of us have been involved in, that have a not too dissimilar name, and they claim to have kind of the same type of intention, but they come at a great cost to the realtor as well as the loan officer, and there's not as much of a gain for the active military or a veteran. So that's my lean in to say what Brett and Scott have created is the Hometown Hero Credit Program. That the highlight and the punchline is this: it gives up to $21,000 to an active military or veteran. It's based on 2% or 200 basis points of the loan amount that is credited to the active military or the veteran. And then people like Scott and his team decide on what's in the best interest of the active military or the veteran, the client, the borrower, to make sure that they get the very best of the best. Is it to pay off that truck and pay off that revolving debt and make sure that they have a permanent rate buy down on their interest rates so they qualify for more home and put them in a better financial position? Do we need to do a manual VA underwriting to be able to get that person because they've had some credit challenges? The answer is yes to all the above. And I have, Scott, you and there's a couple others, obviously, that work for the company. I've watched some of the loans that you guys have put together, and it curls my toes. I mean, in the past, before you, I used to say, I don't think we can do that. That's kind of aggressive. But you and Robert Holliday, our COO and co-founder, along with the underwriters, you guys have put in loans through that literally at times you go, wow, that's pretty incredible. These are files that have been turned down by multiple other lenders, and you've gotten them done. Tell us about that, Scott, and why are you able to do so?
It's fun. It's fun being being that.
It's fun. Yeah, I don't blame you. It is fun to put people into homes that other people have said, no way, we can't do it.
No, I mean, when you work with such a collaborative team, when you work with the underwriters that they don't say no, they say not yet. When you work with people that, everybody is aligned in this program. Everybody knows what we're giving up. Everybody knows what we're doing. Everybody has the job. And nobody here at PRMG, not to blow smoke, everybody grabs a shovel. Nobody says, not my job. Nobody says, we can't do this or I shouldn't. I think you were the one that said, if we can't do a loan, it shouldn't be done. And that's just, we are the result of that. Our successes is the team.
Well, and that it's so true. I'm a fighter, right? And I'm very competitive, and I never understood. I never wanted to be with an organization like a depository or somebody who had a very narrow window or very narrow credit box. I'm a former real estate agent and a top producing loan officer. I never wanted my competition to audition to my referral source, right? So, like I said, if I can't do a loan, the damn thing shouldn't be done. So I'm so grateful for you guys are doing. Now, one of the things that, Brett, you said earlier in the conversation is you use the acronym TAG. And I want to tee you up because when you mentioned, and I'll let you say it, but this was all about emotion. Scott's younger brother, who you just talked about, is giving back. He is literally, and I know you and I feel the same, because I never served. I have family members that have served, and I have a son who's serving. But holy smokes, when you see what they go through and the sacrifices that they make for their family away from their loved ones and the risk and danger that they put themselves in so that all of us can have the freedom to do what we do, it's not talked about enough. And you created a TAG as the reason for this program. Tell us about TAG and tell us about why this program is so important to you.
Well, I have a nickname that my family members and those close to me call me. It's Mr. Rogers, because of my demeanor, etc. So I'm going to take off the cardigan right now and get real, because this program is not just a program; it's a mission, it's a passion. Whenever you stop and realize that our nation's heroes, they write a blank check made out to the United States of America. That's you and me, and the amount up to and including their lives. That causes me to pause, to think about that. I think about all of the different programs out there. Whenever you Google or Chat GPT programs for military families, and you get a plethora of websites and different programs. You get American flags, you get service members on websites, you get flowery language, but you know what it all is? It's marketing. That's all it is. People want the military family's money, and they're putting all of this crap on the internet, posting and what have you. And what they're giving is nothing. You know, it back after the Gulf Wars and after 9/11, it became fashionable for us to say thank you for your service. But, that was 25 stinking years ago. And at least in the mortgage industry, and that's where I focus because that's where I'm at, there's nothing. There's nothing out there that even comes close to what a real, tangible act of gratitude should look like. So Scott and I have
Tangible
done.
act of gratitude.
That's
I didn't
what
overtalk
TAG
you.
stands for. A tangible act of gratitude, something that's not marketing, something that's real, something that costs. Chris Sorensen, Robert Holliday, Paul Rosso, it costs them something whenever we have a military family member in front of us and we take the profits out of the loan, the profits we would typically normally make, and say, because of your service and sacrifice, we want to give you something real. I can't tell you, Chris, how many companies over the years that I've told them about this program. They said, wow, this sounds great. Come in, tell us about it. I come in and tell them, well, you have to give away all your profit. There's the door. Paul Rosso, Robert Holliday, and you saw how important this program is to our military families, helping them to, instead of saving month after month and then they get a flat tire and that sets them back another 3 months. This program is a real deal. And that's why I'm so excited about being here at PRMG and taking this program to 49 states, where Scott and I just did it locally, the hundreds of loans, the $1 million that he and I have given away personally because of this program. But now to take this nationally and see what took us years and years to give away that much. Now PRMG, I think month to date, we're at about $300,000, and we're
Yep.
just so excited.
Love it.
This
Okay,
year.
so I want you never know who's going to be watching this, and we're going to do the very best we can. Brett, you may not know this, but your internet connection is a little weak, and so you're coming in and out. But I know that they'll edit this and make it look as best that they can. But I want to make sure then, since I'm at the corporate office and I've got a great connection, I make sure I drive this point home, because if you happen to be a real estate professional and you're hearing my voice, please know this. This program is designed, frankly, for you to be able to promote yourself while giving and using this tangible act of gratitude. So if you're a real estate agent, I'm going to say, hey, Scott with ABC Real Estate Company, how would you like to be chosen as the hometown hero credit provider for your particular city or community? It costs you nothing, but you'll be able to have your own website that we pay for and design. It'll have your image up there, and you get to promote this on social media platforms. You get to go to the VFW. You get to go to the Chamber of Commerce. You get to go to businesses and say, I am the hometown hero credit provider for this community. We, PRMG, are going to give a credit of up to $21,000 for anybody that you source because of your good work. Now, here's what you have to understand. What Brett was sharing is we're giving away what would be our normal profit and then some. We can't afford to do this with a real estate partner who doesn't recognize that and then give back to us by saying, you know what, because you're allowing me to be the hometown hero credit provider, I'm going to give you loyalty and make sure that my other clients that we can, like every other business in America does, make a profit on. And so if you choose to only use us for the hometown hero credit program, then we may have to find a different real estate partner who understands that it needs to be a reciprocal relationship and a loyalty factor needs to be in place. I hope that comes across as appropriate and sincere and with the best of intentions. We just want to make sure that what we do to help the veterans together as a team, you want to pay it forward by also making sure that Brett and Scott and the rest of the PRMG family, no matter, and this program works, as you mentioned, in all 49 states, plus the District of Columbia, with any of our loan officers. We've got 600 of them around the nation. You can choose any of them. They'll come back to Brett and Scott, who are running this program for us from a corporate perspective. And now you can be the hometown hero credit provider for your community, for your neighborhood. Scott, did I say that? Did I miss anything, sir?
No, you hit the nail on the head and all the details. And whenever I have conversations with real estate agents and with customers and even loan officers, everybody asks, why on God's green earth would you do this? And the dirty little secret is our loan officers here at PRMG, our operations, everything, the machine that this is, makes these agents fall in love with us. That's the dirty secret, is they want to use us for their FHAs, for their conventionals. If I've got 2 hometown heroes and you've got 2 loan officers for the price of 1 working on this deal, moving it forward, why are you not going to send me your FHAs, your other customers that you're working with, having all your deals in one place, having that pull through and that confidence? So that's why we do this. Number 1, it's the right thing to do. Number 2, it's necessary. Veterans need every bit of help that they can get and then some. And number 3, because the agents absolutely love it. And we give them the world with the websites, the lead generation, the marketing tools, the ClickFunnels. Now we're working on branded books for those that produce. I mean, we're innovating this where, not to call out names, other companies with, homes and help heroes and flags and stuff like that, they ask you to give up. They have their hand out and say, give us this and we'll give you marketing. And you don't close. You don't close nearly as much.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Scott, because there are companies, as I mentioned on the onset, that have a similar name, but they ask in order to use their branding, which gives nothing to the veteran, they want a commission referral from the real estate agent and the loan officer. You got to pay money to them just to use their branding. It is absolutely ludicrous. It blows my mind that anybody would do that. Here, we're just the opposite. But again, you could be cynical and you could say, well, what's in it for you? We've already shared it, but please know, this is a tangible act of gratitude. Brett and Scott I don't want to tell you, but they make very, very little. And they're doing this because his son, his brother, is in the Army serving, and they wanted to come up with a program that they felt allowed them to be able to give back. But of course, this is how we've chosen to feed our loved ones. This is how we feed our families. So what we're giving up on the VA loan, rightly so, because if we're going to give up money for anybody, let's give it up to an active military or a veteran. And all we ask in return is give us a chance to be able to help, and we still work for very cheap, but still just give us a chance to help that borrower who's getting a conventional loan, an FHA, a USDA, a non-QM, DSER, self-employed bank statement loan, whatever it is, jumbo loan. Give us a chance. Oh, look at that. When you went off camera, I was like, oh, that's too bad. But at least you guys obviously aren't too far away from each other, apparently.
No, we work 10 feet away from each other every single day.
Well, you guys are lucky. You guys are blessed. There's nothing more cool than a father-son team or a mother-daughter team or, whatever. And that's neat to be able to work with truly your loved ones. And you guys, you guys are prince among men. So, as we are talking, I want to kind of take this on a more personal venture. So, Brett, going back to you once again, my friend, now that we should have a better connection, I hope. you know, what tell me about the book writing. I mean, that's something that you're very passionate about, and I'd love to know more about the book writing and the reasons therein.
The first book I wrote took me 3 years,
Wow.
and it was a labor of love. After that, the second book took me about 6 months. The book after that took me a month, and now I can write a book in 2 weeks.
That's incredible.
No chat GPT required.
I'm not a
Yeah.
Chat GPT fan.
Well, I'm a fan, but it just you didn't know its place. And I've also learned, and we also probably watched enough TV where people have actually gone to ChatGPT and embarrassed themselves because ChatGPT will just make shit up.
Yeah, and I love to write. I love because one thing that I told Scott a long time ago, I've carried around a planner, a Franklin planner for probably 35 years. And the wonderful thing about that planner is that whenever you write something down, it gives you permission to forget it. The same thing with writing. Whenever I've got all of this stuff going around in my head and I write it down, it gives me permission to move it aside, not think about it, and move on to something else. So the writing, is more for me than anything else. But I know that some people have made some incredible compliments, about what I've written and how it's helped them, et cetera. So I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, you know what? Because again, it's just how you are wired. But I always look at things, if you can actually just help one person and pay it forward in one form or fashion, obviously, then it's a life well lived, and which is one of the books you actually wrote. So I would strongly encourage anybody who happens to watch this to reach out to Brett directly, and yeah, take a look and see what he's written, and I think you'll be well served. By the way, speaking of other professionals, I call this mortgage therapy, and it was funny. Jessica on our marketing team actually came up with the name, and when she mentioned it, she was mentioning different names we could call this podcast, and when she mentioned that one, I went, boom, that's it. Because I got to tell you, I'm a high-strung individual, and there's been times in my career where I've had to unload on either a realtor, a borrower, or another loan officer. Not proud of it, but I've had to get upset, and I've said some things that probably wasn't on my best behavior. Can you relate? Have you had any set of circumstances? Or are you just Mr. Rogers 24/7? Have you ever had anybody upset you, Scott?
I don't write it down, but I forget. I don't write it down and give myself permission to forget, but I don't carry that with me. I off the top of my head, has anybody pissed me off? Of course. I bleed. I'm like any other person, but I can't remember any time, anything specific. Not with a peer, not with an agent.
God bless you. That's awesome. I do my best. I can tell you some specific stories, but how about you, Brett? Have you?
As I've gotten older, especially in the last 10 years or so, this is legacy for me. This is what can I leave behind that's better? How can I help someone? Look beyond, as Scott said, look beyond what makes you feel good. There have been numerous times whenever I've been talking with a loan officer, a real estate agent, and I have to stop and say, am I going to say what I want to say because it's going to make me feel better? Or am I going to take the high road and do what's best for them to help them to move forward? And as long as I keep that in mind and keep focusing on that, I really don't get angry. I don't get upset. I just focus on the larger.
It bugs me how much that he used to do that to me. It went from weekly to then monthly to now it's once a quarter. He'll remind me, are you saying that for you or are you saying that for them? And it's a dad thing. It's just pisses me off because it's him doing it, and I'm better for it and all that other stuff. But yeah,
He's doing that whole Miyagi thing on you, right? right? But I'll tell you, that's exactly why we have mortgage therapy, is because we need that type of therapy. I need that type of therapy because I learned something now today from you guys. That's something I'm going to borrow, make it my own, and share it with others. That, hey, is what you're about to say going to move things forward? Say it again, Brett. What's the line?
Is what you're about to say for you or for the person in front of you? Is it going to move the dial forward or just make you feel better? If it's just going to make you feel better, then it's not worth saying. You need to move the dial forward. You need to help the person in front of you be better. And by saying what you want to say, it's not going to make things better.
Well, and you know what? I often have said to my boys, so sometimes, I don't always practice what I preach. I think we're all guilty if we're honest with each other, but it's good to still share these things because Proverbs 17:17, iron sharpens iron, right?
Amen.
But I've always told my boys, please don't justify your poor actions because of the poor actions of another.
Yeah.
That's great.
Right? We can either we can lift people up or we can justify tearing them down. Now, there's been times, and I try not to do it too often, especially being a national director. I wouldn't serve my company well and the individuals that I'm honored to be of service to if I did that on a regular basis. But again, there's been times I'm human, to Scott, to your expression, I bleed. And there's been times when I have snapped back at somebody. And then in retrospect, you think, well, okay, that made me feel better because I justified my sharp tongue, which I've got a pretty quick wit. And so I'm able to retort.
Yes, you do.
Fairly
Scott and I, we heard this years and years ago, and we use this all the time where we have a difficult situation with a loan officer, a branch manager, what have you. And then we look at each other and just say DALO.
DALO.
You know what DALO stands for?
I don't.
Swear on?
Are you allowed to swear on here?
Yes.
Dumbass loan officer.
That's our code word. Now it's out there.
I love that. Okay. Once again, I just learned something that I'm going to make my own. That's pretty good. What's the expression that Paul Rose, our CEO, has? He's got a couple of them that are pretty funny. This is terrible. I'm sure Billy's going to edit this one out, but Paul he was just teasing me the other day. He was talking about somebody being, and this is terrible, but he said, "Oh my gosh, that person is a F-tard," and I started laughing. And he followed up and he goes, "But they're my F-tard, so I'm going to protect them." And I thought that's it's so true, right? I mean, if you're part of that inner circle of your family of PRMG, we all protect each other. But it is funny because there are DALOs out there, oftentimes causing more problems than they're worth to a transaction. Whoever, and this is something I just want to get out, and I know we got to wrap up here, but that's something that, we're talking about moving the ball forward and lifting people up versus tearing them down. Boy, if I can ever convince all real estate agents to follow what you just said, man, what a wonderful world we would have. Sometimes if agents would just get out of their own way, they seem to walk around with a can of gasoline just looking for a fire that they can get on.
A lot of loan officers that way too, unfortunately.
Right? So, yeah. Or loan officers, one of the things that drives me crazy about loan officers, again, this is my therapy session, is when they say something that isn't 100% the truth. Whenever a loan officer says, "Oh yeah, the CD is out," or "Yes, we got the approval," or we're CTC, whatever it is, and they're just trying to get somebody off the phone, or they don't want to get berated by the agent, and it's not 100% true, that one is when I just want to choke them and throttle them, because it always seems to come out in the end that they lied, and it loses credibility for everybody in the daisy chain. And so I learned a long time ago, man, tell the truth 100% of the time. And yes, you may get beat up because the agents are pissed for maybe a good reason, but you never have to worry about what you said when you always tell the truth. And I've joked, My memory, as my memory sucks, so I'll forget what I said. So I always have to tell the truth for that reason.
Loan officers are afraid of the agent beating the dead horse, and they're afraid of the CD's not out yet. Well, you said this happened. Remember in the beginning, you also said, and this, and they're just going to circle those problems over and over and over. And that's where the axiom of, is this going to move us forward? Having those hard conversations and just, I understand that, but the CD is coming out soon. I understand that, but what is our next steps? Driving the conversation forward defeats all of their circling the vulture, beating the dead horse, whatever you want to call it. And that has served me well. Not to just fall back on that axiom over again, but I can tell you that it's the fear of the agents just pecking at them that they lie and they do that.
But you know, it's let me get real quick. I'll give an example. Another company I was with, I was a regional branch manager, and a huge producer left the company. And the corporate said, hey, we've got about 36 loans that we need to move over to you if you want them. And but they're all pissed, and not just a little bit. And I said, sure, no problem. And so I personally took all those loans because I didn't want these people screaming at my loan officers, my branch managers like that. And I got screamed at, I got cussed at. But you know what? Proper communication, getting to them before they had to call me, everybody involved in the transaction. Some of those people that were so pissed and screamed about lawsuits, they're still with me today because I communicated. Communication takes care of 98.9% of any problem.
It was 2022 when rates were creeping up,
Yeah.
and nobody could give what was promised to these borrowers 60 to 75 days prior when they opened escrow. I mean, It was a nightmare. And this guy.
Communication.
Well, that was a mic drop moment I've ever heard. So we'll wrap up on that. So, Brett and Scott, you guys know I'm a huge fan. Consider you guys now friends, and you're part of the family. And you know, I'm always there for you guys. And for anybody watching this, I just want to say thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us. You know, again, we call this mortgage therapy with Chris Sorensen because all of us need it, and we can all use it. And if you listen to something and you pulled out just one little pearl of wisdom that you can apply to your daily life, well, then our time here is well spent. So
Amen.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. And God bless. Serve for success.
Absolutely.